Hi everyone. Today I'm in the process of just joining a couple of blocks that for the class quilt that we're making. It's where we just make a 35 centimetre block and bind the block, and then we can join it to multiple to make a big quilt. So I've already started joining these two blocks here along here, and I'll just use a little overcast stitch, and up here that's where I'm up to. So I just wanted to show you. Now what I wanted to really show you here is not so much how to join it, but how to join it when you have two blocks that are not exactly the same size, which is a pretty common thing for me, especially when we do it this way, because I'm fairly sort of relaxed about the cutting and the shape and the binding, and I don't necessarily make everything completely straight, and I probably just fairly loosely cut a whole bunch of these backings in one go, so some of them might be slightly bigger than others. Anyway, this one, for some reason, this red one was exceptionally small compared to others. So you can see I've already done this section here. I started with a little 2 back stitches after I buried the tail, and then I'm just doing what I believe is called a whip stitch, which I will show you a little bit more of once I do that. But I just wanted to show you this problem area. So really it existed the whole way along, but it's especially noticeable at the moment here, so that's why I thought it's a good time to show you. So you see I've accurately matched this end with a clip, and I will not move that clip. These two pieces need to be together at the end. Otherwise, the future blocks won't join, won't have a straight line going along here when I open it out. So you can see what I've done is I've sort of spread the excess between 2 clips there. Now you probably could go more than that because this is quite a big difference. So I'm just going to sort of put that in the middle there and put another, soften this down and put that in the sort of there. Okay. And now it sort of makes them look even more matched, but there's no way I can really stretch this completely out. So what I have to do is I have to make sure that I do not move that clip until I've sewn right up to it. So I have to make sure that at that point that's going to match, even though this side is bigger than that. So how I do that? Well, firstly I'm joining with the whip stitch. So what that means is I push the 2 edges together and I'm joining straight through. You can, because there's the gap, you can see, I think, that I'm going straight through there. And then I'll move along a bit. But what I'm also doing here is I'm pushing this sort of excess towards this end so that I'll sort of match it up going straight through, but in point of fact I'm coming further along the back one than I am on the front one. So I'll just say that again and say that again. My hand seems to be getting in from the light a little bit, doesn't it? Let's see if I can alter that a bit. I might actually just zoom up for this. Okay, so you can see there. So you can see there we've already got, a bit of that excess has been, so these look like they match more neatly. So, but you can see when you look on the back here that these are lumpy because this edge is longer than this edge. So I'll just keep going. So see how I'm going, match the 2 edges, I'm going straight through. And so that way you get a diagonal on the back, but on the front you'll just get a very small straight stitch, and it'll just be the length depending on how far in from these little edges you are. So I tend to be probably aim for 1 millimeter, and I'd say that's probably more like 1.5, but that's okay. It really doesn't matter. I don't mind if you can see those little stitches on the front. It's part of the handmade charm. So when I get to this, obviously I have to take it off. And you see we've got this extra thing again. So we've got this extra puffiness again on one side. So I will just sort of flatten it down so that there's a little bit of it there. And when I come along and just match these, I'm just slowly incorporating that little bit of puffiness. And so you'll see it's there along the back, and when I turn it over, you'll see that it's there on the front to some extent, but not a lot. And again, I'm not too worried about that sort of thing. I think that that is just part of the texture that you get with a handmade quilt. So we'll just go, I'm going to go all the way along so that you see. So you can just see I'm doing this whip stitch. It goes, whoa, I'm nearly off the screen there. This whip stitch was just straight up and down there. Straight up and down there. Take the clip off when I get to it. This part of it now seems to have incorporated a fair bit of the excess, so it's not as obvious. So sometimes I flatten it and curve it round this way so that if this one's longer, it's sort of evenly matched over the side anyway. It's evenly matched along the seam. And it takes up a little bit of the slack by travelling a very slightly longer path if I bend it this way. See, if you, for example, I bend it that way, you can see what's happening. You know, that excess is then bulging out. But it can get taken up if you bend it towards the shorter side. Oh, I keep seeming to wander off to the edge of the screen there. So you can see I've got that big bulge coming up. I need to sort of flatten that down and see, I can almost get rid of it by curving it around like this. And that makes all the excesses just evenly spread along that segment. And when I let it come back straight, you can see there's some little bulges on that side where it's a little bit longer on one side than the other. So I don't take this off until I'm really nearly at the end, because this, I want the most important thing is these two ends and the other end obviously are matching. So we'll take that off, put that around. So I'm just going to end off how I start so that you'll also get that idea. So how I end is you could do you could do a sort of more invisible method than what I do, but I am perfectly happy I like the look of stitches. I even like the look of the little sort of knotty things. I don't like the look of loose tails hanging off though. So that's one thing I definitely will show you how to not have. So what I do is I just take a little back stitch and then I take another little back stitch on top of it, and that just sort of gives you a little lump. And then I go in, and I'm not going all the way through, I'm just plunging it through the middle of the block, so it's not showing on the back or the front. And then I come up a decent distance away and pull it right through, and so you've got that little lump there. And then, where are my scissors? With this tail, you can just cut that off because you've got a tail inside there, which is going to stop it unraveling. So you can cut that off completely so you don't get to see it at all. So I'm just going to zoom back again and show you what it looks like when we've done it all. Okay, so now that I've done it, you'll see that, let's get my needle out of the way. Whoops, sorry. Okay, now, so you can see little dots along there. No problem to me. It's how it looks when you sew something together. Can can see a little bit of sort of lumpiness on this side that's not on this side, because this is held completely flat and this has got excess fabric that's been made to join. But the ends up here and down here, they match perfectly. So you will be able to then match them to further blocks. So that is, I'm going to put this on to the rest of the quilt, and then I'm going to give it a bit of a wash, because I think that after you've washed it, everything looks a little bit better. Everything sort of tightens up, and looseness just ends up looking more bobbly rather than creasy, which I like better. All right, well, look, thank you for watching.